And we are live on a Saturday evening with Sound Off. I have Jen. You may have seen her before. Therapist Jen. We call her Jen. Therapist Jen. Has many titles, great titles, depending on how you have met her. You may know her as a yoga instructor. You may know her as a trauma specialist. You may know her as a friend or a family member. But today we are discussing changing your life through small steps based off our last conversation on yoga and using that mindfulness. Welcome back.
Thanks, DP. It's good to see you again and good to be with everyone. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. Last time we chatted, there were so many people that got like the biggest takeaway, I think, for people was something about behavior change that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Like
that
we
better
talked
than
about
nothing
this many
goal?
things, and literally it was like those two words, which was take it
Uh-huh,
a
better
step at
than
a
nothing
time.
goal.
That was
Yep,
literally what
take
it
it a step
was.
at a time. Yep, better
And,
than nothing goal.
and
So,
it's funny because you're scratching your head going, there were so many gems that were dropped that I was like, I have to make a point to say this. And then afterwards, like, wait a second, the filler was the one?
I know, right?
And
Isn't
not to
that
diminish
funny?
it, but that really I think is part of what's great about these conversations, which is it's what's resounding with the community, right? What people are resounding with,
Right?
and it says, well, let's talk about that. Let's actually expand on this, and hence looking at changing your life through small steps. So
Absolutely.
I'll move it over to you for those that may have not met us before, that don't know us before. You see the subject, you see the ticker below. Let us know your branch of service. Let us know when you serve. We want to be able to have an interactive conversation, Q&A, after we get through the first part. My name is David Pineda, DP. I am your host and founder of Veterans Network. Today on Sound Off, we are looking at the mind, body, soul, specifically talking about changing your life through small steps. I have one of my dear friends, therapist Jen. I call her Jen, but I'll let her introduce herself with all of her titles so people know who she is if you're new to Jen.
Yeah, my name is Jen Baumgartner Barnes. I am a licensed clinical social worker. Let's see, I've been in the field about 21 years. I'm a experienced yoga teacher. I am also certified in trauma center, trauma sensitive yoga, certified in EMDR, trained in IFS, trained in AcuDetox for its ear acupuncture. So I've got a lot of specialties in the trauma area of things. As far as my connection to the military, I worked for Fort Carson as an Army civilian for a while, and then as a military family life counselor. My grandfather served in the South Pacific in World War II. My father was packing parachutes during Vietnam uh, in Minneapolis. And my most recent significant other of 10 years, he's still in. He's actually deployed right now. He's in the Air Force. So, yeah.
Nice. So we've established you have a connection to the military. You've worked with both active and veterans, as well as civilians, and you have a specialty in trauma, both from the practice on the clinical side as well as yoga therapy, which is a whole nother conversation we had in our previous session that we did. For those that missed it, after you see this, you'll see the link to that, and we'll also show you where to find Jen. She's on YouTube. She has a new channel up, so we're going to share that here shortly as well. So, needless to say, you understand the space just a little bit, and you've been around the trauma space.
Yeah. I've been around the trauma block,
Yeah, yeah,
you
just
could
just
say.
a few laps around, you know.
Yeah, just a
Uh,
few laps around with veterans, with civilians, a little
mm-hmm.
bit of my own stuff.
We
It's good.
have a
It's good.
few great. Well, we have some comments that are coming up as we go through because we're live. For those that may have not seen us doing it live on Friday nights, we go live. But we like to make a point to bring up the comments as they come, so you'll see us
Oh,
populate them. You may know this person. She says she loves you. We
I
love
do.
you.
Thanks, Lisa. Love to you back.
We have Captain PY2 saying salute to you. Our brother Manuel is in the house. Good evening.
All
U.S.
right.
Army retired from Ohio.
Ooh, cool.
Um, let's see.
Thank you for your service.
Lisa's little comment here says better than nothing is my go-to mantra now. That's what it was. Better than nothing.
Better than
That
nothing
really stood
goal is
out
what
to you. Yep.
everyone
We
from
got
our last talk.
exactly. We got Frank in the house from Crayons Ready to Eat. So a few folks there. Keep on putting your comments. We'll move to questions as we go further into this. But with the introductions out the way, one of the things that I think was interesting, literally right on cue, you think it was scripted, but it really is not. To Lisa's point, better than nothing. And we were talking about the mental health side, the mindset, using yoga as a way to work through trauma and different things. It's like, look, anything works. And using yoga as an example, the mentality is, well, I can't do this because I'm not nimble. And it's like, look, in your chair, we'll have a seat of practice. We can have different ways of doing things. And that's when that came up. This is better than nothing. And for many, it
Yep.
was like, wow, that applies to a lot of things. So fast forward now, looking at changing your life through small steps, we're going to have the link as well to a blog that Jen wrote. So the goal here is not to just talk about something, but give you actionable steps. We'll show that here shortly as well. That'll be a takeaway after this. So if you're watching this live or on the replay, you'll get a chance to see some of that, those materials to be able to take some action steps. So moving into this space now, let's kind of go right into the title, Changing Your Life Through Small Steps. What are the biggest things? And I'll play devil's advocate here, Jen.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I'm just going to quit cold turkey. I'm going to get to do this full bore, right? If it's I'm going to quit smoking, I'm just going to quit it. If I'm going to change this
Uh-huh.
habit, I'm just going to adopt it. I just signed up for the
Uh-huh.
gym. I'm going to go every day, 3 hours a day. Like, you know how it is. We go from extremes of,
Uh-huh.
stagnation or whatever we do to I'm all in. And I get that
Yep.
in the moment that's something, but let's talk
Mhm.
about just the beginning parts of what is your take when it comes to the small step piece? Because for me, immediately, right, one of the first reactions guttural is just like, small steps, we're never going to make it. It's going to take forever. You don't understand. So in my mind, small steps taken daily over 365 days is not going to get me anywhere. So I'm going to go full bore for 2, 3 weeks and then quit until 5 years from now.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Which is faster, trying going all out and then not being able to do it, or doing small steps and actually sticking with it so that 5 years later you have the habit that you wanted,
So
right?
can you talk a little bit about the habit? So I know from a psychology perspective, and that's why we're
Hmm.
having this in a mental health conversation, because there
Uh-huh.
are there's factors, there's studies about the adaptation period, how long it takes to build a habit, all of these different things. So for those that don't know, let's just take it to scratch. Is there a thing to taking things in segments? Granted, we're military, we do things by the number, but I'm not in the military no more, Jen. I don't do that stuff. I just want to go and build this house, and overnight it'll be there. But can you talk about the mental health aspect of adapting change in anything?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I'd like to reference James Clear wrote a book using the 4 laws of behavior change. So I just want to cite his book, Atomic Habits, because I am going to be sharing some of his ideas, which, I've kind of taken a little bit of my own perspective on it. So I'm not exactly sharing per se. So if this isn't exactly what he says, but he talks about the 4 pieces of behavior, and we know this, right? Every behavior has a cue, so something that cues us to do the behavior. We need to crave the behavior.
Mm,
Okay, now I know for me, I think of people smoking, right? They have cravings, right? But
mm-hmm,
certainly that's a negative behavior, but there's craving. Then there's the response, like actually doing the behavior, and then there's a reward.
mm,
And and eventually the behavior itself becomes the reward, but initially that's not usually what works. And so when we think about doing things in small steps, it's really important to break it down to those pieces, because
mm-hmm,
if we just go all in, we're not being mindful of all the pieces of like that are necessary for successful behavior change. And so we end up just like, we're like, I'm just gonna go to the gym every single day, and we do it, and it shakes up our life because we're like not used to spending 2 hours at the gym. So now we're missing out on 2 hours of whatever we did before, which is probably television and social media, if I can venture a guess. Maybe not,
mm-hmm,
maybe not. But that's why it doesn't work, and aside from the fact that I'm a mental health professional, I also am a former gym rat.
mm-hmm,
and taught group fitness for 17 years. And I can attest to January 1st and 2nd, as a regular gym member,
mm,
it was frustrating. You'd see like hundreds of extra people, and they were working it out as hard and as long as those of us who'd been there all year. And it was like, that's just not sustainable because they're not used to it, right? Not because they're bad, but just because it's like, whoa. And then sure enough, by March,
mm-hmm,
almost all those people are gone because they
mm.
started too fast. So it's not that they're broken, it's that their process is broken.
You said
because
a
they
good
went too
point.
big.
You said a good point that I want to highlight, which is sustainability,
Yeah.
because that applies in a lot of different areas. And we've seen that. This applies to work habits, workout habits,
Yes.
relationships, all kinds of things. Because again, what exactly is it? And let's take in random things. Here I am as a veteran. I now am in this new job. I feel I have to show my worth because my resume says I have all these qualities. So now all that exists is me accomplishing this goal. And they are hiring me because they know I'm goal oriented. And guess what? I don't quit till the mission gets done, Jen. You don't understand. Ain't no time for baby steps. I'm all in. In reality, there may be some things that are fueling this unsustainable pace where most folks say, and we've seen this, Jen comes over, or let's say Bob comes over, and he's like, "Hey, DP, it's been a long day. Shut it down. It's Friday. See you Monday. All right, boss. Just a little bit more. Got a few more things to do. First of all, what's happening here, right? Because I'm the first one in, Jen. I'm the last one out. Got to show the worth. Got to be able to do all those things that we are looking at the veteran to do, right? And the
Yeah.
reality
Yeah.
is, am I truly committed to the task, or am I
Mhm.
overcompensating for some other things? The anxiety and
Yes.
fear of not being able to merit my position there or own up to others so I don't outperform. It might look like that from the outside, but like you ever seen those memes of this is what people see, this is what anxiety actually is doing, right? You
Uh huh.
see you
Uh huh.
see works well under pressure. You don't see procrastination and crippling anxiety. You know what I mean? Like you don't see
Hmm.
those things that are happening on the other side.
Hmm.
So to the point of the sustainability, I think that happens for many folks, right? A gym is a great example, but the same thing happens in relationships, happens in work, and people look at that and say, Jim, Janice, that's unsustainable. I get what you're doing, but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've been here for 10 years, and you're not going to make it if you keep that pace up. It's just not human. Not a detriment to you as a person, not a challenge to your
No.
qualities or what you bring, but you have to be realistic here that you can't be here every day for 4 hours doing all this cardio and weights and think that you're not going to be done in about 3 weeks.
Well, you'll burn out. You'll burn out. It's just too much. It's just way too much. You were talking about, and I know this isn't where we're headed today, but you're talking about like um, the workplace and needing to prove yourself and all of that, and what's underneath some of that. And certainly anxiety is common. And I think a little bit of anxiety there is appropriate. Anytime you start something new, you do want to, you want to belong and you want to show, you want to prove yourself to some degree. But I think when it comes from a place of, I don't feel worthy or good enough as it is, and then you're overcompensating, um, you're just going to keep feeling worse and worse and worse. And actually the product that you're going to be putting out there, whatever it is that your business is going to be less. You won't be as productive. The material that you create won't be as awesome. We know our creativity goes down substantially when we're burned out. But when we actually do things to sustain ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to do things we love, to be with people we love, our work actually is way better. If you've ever read,
But that's funny
yeah,
though, and I want to go and I want to just highlight that for those that may have missed it. By working harder without that balance, you're actually producing less. Because
yes,
you know how it is, Jen, right?
absolutely.
Harder work, better results. What do you mean if I work hard, I'm getting less?
No,
What kind of math are you
no.
doing here?
Yeah. Well, because your brain can only tolerate so much. So
Yes.
your brain needs breaks. And I know we all think, well, I can multitask. I can Our brains don't multitask. Like literally the science says they don't multitask. What happens is we go here, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about this thing, and then now I'm thinking about this thing. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about this thing again. And this and this.
Right.
And what happens over time is it actually degrades your brain power. They've actually been
Yeah.
started showing this in the last
So
couple of years.
let's take
Uh-huh.
some realistic points there, because it's applicable to the bigger picture of why we're saying small steps here. But again, is multitasking really what's happening, or is it postponing of what you don't want to do by masking with something
Yeah.
else to then go back and then find yourself like the saying goes, right? It only takes a minute if you wait till the last minute. And realistically, it's like, man, you should see this guy over here, man. He works under pressure. Last minute gets in. How did you do that? That's just not a healthy way to operate. But sometimes
Fair.
some people just literally are avoiding certain tasks. And if you look at
Fair.
high performing individuals, it is known, right? You look at Tony Robbins, you can pay for all these people that are trying to find mindset and how to do things. They'll tell you, right? The night before, what are the four things, for example, that you're going to task? The next day, focus on that very first thing. Once you get done with that, go to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look
Yep.
at, and I'll send this to you here for perspective, but I would venture to say the Elon Musks of the world, the Jeff Bezos of the world, and the fill in the blank that are doing things at a level of like, Jen, I can't barely take my cat to the vet, walk my dog,
Mm-hmm.
and show up to work and have a relationship, let alone run Tesla, SpaceX, do philanthropy, work, be married, have a kid. Like, these people are not human. Is it they're not human because they have 24 hours just like we do, but the way that some of these folks break down their time, and again, we can pick apart things that are good, bad, and healthy, but arguably there is a way that they're able to compartmentalize the things they're doing. So, for example,
Yeah.
I've read, like, Elon Musk, for example, is focused right now on Tesla on a Monday and a Thursday. On Tuesday and Wednesday, he's at SpaceX. On Friday, he's with family, and literally, it's things are broken down. He's not running all this in
Yep.
one day. Like today is
Yep.
today's Tesla day. SpaceX stuff, that's tomorrow. Today, I'm doing this. Today, I'm finishing
Yep.
this paper. Today, I'm doing this
Yep.
project. Tomorrow,
Hyper focus.
and that's a difference at a high level of how can you do so much? Even in the daytime, you have some people that have a complete schedule of like, look, at 5 a.m., this is my time till 6:30. At 7:30, there's breakfast. Some people live by that. Some people will use Jocko Willink, right? He has a big, he's real big on extreme ownership. One of the biggest things he says is discipline equals freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline to stay to task equals the freedom you want. So my point is, when it comes to that, from your perspective, have you seen that in your practice working with folks? Because some may be train wrecks, but some are high functioning individuals. Have you seen any of those things?
Yeah. So, and actually, I don't know so much. I don't know so much in my practice, but when people, except when they follow something I recommend, this is reminding me a lot of Greg McKeown's work on essentialism, the discipline of doing less. I think is the subtitle on that. I might be wrong, but anyway, when we really prioritize, when we say these are the things I'm going to focus on, and this is not my area, then we can be hyper productive, right? Because we don't let ourselves get distracted with this thing and this thing and this thing. I'll tell you, one of the things that was actually really helpful for me is when I decided to specialize in trauma. Because before then, I was a generalist. So I had to do continuing education on like every single diagnosis, all these different therapies. And it was just like, there weren't enough hours in the day. Whereas if I was like, okay, what is it that I really want to do with my life? And you don't have to be a therapist to do this. You could be Elon Musk and he wants to really focus on Tesla and SpaceX and his family, right? Or you can be DP, really wanting to focus on being the host and interviewing people and getting word out there to serve others, right? I'm assuming that's kind of what you're doing
Yeah.
lately.
Very, very focused.
You
Come
go with
on.
it.
All-
Yeah, yeah. But whatever it is that you're doing, if you can identify your priorities and
Yes.
focus on them, and then that helps you be able to say no, like actually say no to the things that are not on that list. And that's how these people get that much done. And this means like their boss comes up to them. This is a great example from Greg McKeown. Like your boss comes up to you, is like, hey, Jim, I need you to do this. And let's say your plate is really full, or that's not in your job description, or it's not something that's a priority for you, not something you're good at. You'd have to spend a lot of time learning it. What you can say, I mean, obviously you have to have a good relationship with your supervisor. You're not going to say this on your first day. But you can say, gosh, you know what? I really want to do good work for you. I absolutely do. And I am happy to do this project. It will take a little bit of extra research because it's not my normal area of expertise, or it'll take time. So what do you want me to deprioritize so that I can put my focus on this? Right? And that's just what he talks about doing with work, but we can do that with our habits too.
Yes.
So for example, I've been working on practicing yoga every day, right? So what do I need to deprioritize to do yoga every day? Well, spending time on social media. That's what I need to deprioritize. Right?
Yeah.
I need to spend less time doing that. And so I took the app off my phone. Now I can still get to it from my browser, but it's way less fun especially because if I make a typo, you can't edit it unless you
Correct.
delete your comment and start over. So, like, it's much less pleasurable, which we'll get to in a minute on making habits work.
Hmm.
But doing that has gotten me to go to bed earlier, which then helps me get up earlier to
Yes.
have time for my yoga,
Mm.
right?
And I think, and again, and that kind of really goes to the point of breaking it down. A good, I brought up the name of the book. We're going to go to the blog here in a second, but Brian commented that can be a challenge. So our first questions of trusting small movements in a moment of time will add up
Yes.
to big change over time. And I think that goes to the micro macro, right? From a micro perspective, this is never going to get done, but the Great Wall of China didn't happen overnight either. I mean, the
Right.
pyramids either. So there's something to be
Right.
said to play the long game in this. But I wanted to also highlight here, because we're going to go to the blog and talk about this specifically, but you'll find this on Amazon as well. The Atomic Habits by
Oh,
James
yeah.
Clear. That's
That
in
I
the
mentioned.
comments
Yeah.
section there. But specifically to the blog that you wrote, I wanted to share this with those that are watching here. If you head over to veteransnetwork.club, you will see our last blog that Jen wrote. Here specifically, hack your habits. And again, when people hear the word hack, it's like, oh, you're trying to take a cheat code or whatever the case may be. And really, it's just tips and tricks of how to be able to make something effective happen. But the things
Yeah.
you're talking about here, I just wanted to highlight for folks because, again, we're talking about this, but to be able to sit here and not only, again, the book is referenced and hyperlink, you can find the book there, but literally looking at specific things, right? How to hack your habits. You present the information. What does this mean? What does it look like in practice? And how to implement said things, and then continuing to do that. So, again, I'd like just for people to understand the flow of what's happening here is a law of the book of how he wrote his things is presented and you kind of dissect it. So can you talk to us a little bit about, because even the way you broke this down, I think
Yeah.
is key even to this, right? You
Yeah.
took small steps and then didn't say, here are the
Yes.
laws, take it. Rather, you say, okay, first of all, let's break this down here, right? Behind every
Uh huh.
behavior, there's a cue that triggers behavior. There's your gem. Moving on. Like, no, 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 no. Clear says this. What does it
Yeah.
mean? What does it look like in practice? And then now your
Absolutely.
turn. And
You
right then
figure
and
it
there,
out.
in literally right in practice in the blog, you're taking something but breaking it down into small steps to be able to one understand the concept, see what it really means, get a perspective, and then begin the implementation.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And so just to break that down, I mentioned the four laws of behavior change: cue, craving, response, and reward earlier. And what James Clear did, I actually found really brilliant. He took it a step further to say that in order to cue a behavior, we need to make it obvious.
Mm.
Okay, so like let's say what's a new habit you might be trying to start, DP? What's a new habit?
Let's so Peloton, riding a bike. Let's say that's
Oh, you
that's
want
what
to
it
do your
is.
Peloton.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, so you want to make it obvious. So one way to make it obvious is to pick a time to do it that's going to be the same every day, and preferably couple it with another activity that you're already doing. So let's say that you brush your teeth every morning. As soon as you brush your teeth, you're going to hop, after you brush your teeth, you're going to hop on your Peloton, right? Or your Peloton. So hopefully by then you've, put on your workout clothes. But also the other way you make it obvious is you put your workout clothes out. So, you keep the bike out. So, don't like fold up the treadmill or like, I don't know if a Peloton can
Kind of be
be
put up or
folded up
whatever.
in
You're
any
right.
way. Yeah, but
But
don't
but
put
but but
laundry
there's a
on
point
it.
there, real quick, that many people can relate to this. But because you said that,
Uh-huh.
which is why I kind of mentioned that, is the
Mm-hmm.
prepping of the clothes the night prior, right? So there's an intention
Mm-hmm.
that's happening. Now,
Yep.
I would offer to many, everyone that's watching in some shape, fashion, or form has done this, but not for this result. In the military, we all had our clothes put out. It
Ah.
wasn't because first thing in the morning I will get up and go. It's because You may have been out late and you don't want to be caught out there by the first sergeant being out of uniform. So guess what? You put your stuff out because most of us, right, especially when you were lower enlisted, you literally were running late to everything. So the last thing you wanted
Ah,
to do was
I
be in the
get
wrong
that.
uniform. So guess what you did, right? Your stuff was there on the side. It wasn't probably neat, but you knew if you got up and that alarm said 5 minutes of formation and you're like 5 minutes away, guess what? Jump out of bed, literally like a cartoon, slip into your uniform, and you're running out because you're running right on time. And that
Yeah,
tends to be the case. Same
yeah,
thing happened, but the difference is one
yeah,
was to not get in trouble and make sure that you have what you need, but now it's
yeah,
taking the intentional position of I want to be ready to roll at 05 to do this
yeah.
thing.
Well, you want to make it obvious and you want to be, that's how you're going to cue the behavior, right? Yeah, you want to cue the behavior by making it obvious. The other thing is a lot of times with habits, we think the habit is riding the bike, right? The habit is actually putting your workout clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
The habit is that because once your workout clothes are on, I used to when I would go to the gym, I went straight home from work. I used to joke that my car did not know how to go home from work because going to work meant that I went to the gym after.
Right.
It was just like what happened. And so once I got in the gym parking lot, that was the habit. The rest was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, not easy, whatever. But like, it's not that my workouts were challenging and that it's not challenging, but the internal struggle is less once you get yourself to do that first behavior. So that's the first step is you want to cue it and whatever
Mm.
that means to you, right? The next thing you want to do is make it attractive. So it's in order to crave it, you need to make it attractive, right? Like we know like cigarette companies do this a lot. They like made the nicotine all flavored for adolescents to make it attractive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same kind of idea, but we're going to do it with a positive behavior, right? So for example, if you're going to make your Peloton workout attractive, maybe you get a cool new pair of bike shorts. So then you get to wear your new shorts. It's super cool. Or maybe you do something that you have to do, ride your Peloton, with
Mm-hmm.
something that you want to do, watch a movie,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or listen to a podcast. Although Peloton, I'm guessing you're doing their live stream
Yeah, they have
class
a
thing that they
variety of
have.
things in there.
Yeah, or you choose ones that you like
Yes.
skip over the annoying teachers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
but like make it attractive, make yourself be excited to do it so that you crave it, right? That's really, really important. Another thing that can make it a habit attractive is being part of a community who does those things as well. So that's why, like, I'm sure there's like Peloton groups all over Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
or like, that's why people, when they go to the gym, I mean, heck, I'll tell you this, I worked for Lifetime Fitness. Oh my gosh, what was it? Like 12 years over, two separate stints. So I don't know, it was probably 10 to 12 years overall. And our main thing, do you know what we did to get people to keep coming to the gym?
Communities.
We made it community. We made it fun for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So their kids would say, Daddy, I want to go to the gym and play with so and so.
Right, because there's a great
And
activity center that just opened up with all the fun little ninja challenge things that they have, and guess what?
yeah. And what was Lifetime doing? Were they being jerks? No, they were capitalizing on behavior change rules, right? They
Mm-hmm.
were saying, let's make this attractive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you can do the same thing, right? You can absolutely, thanks, Lisa, make it attractive. You can make it attractive in the same way. That's why, like, okay, when you go to the gym, let's say you are going to the gym and you're lifting weights. Yeah, okay, you don't want to only talk when you're there,
Yes.
but talking a little bit when you're there is okay because that's making it fun to be there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Cheers, right? Like again,
Yes, everyone
right?
knows your name.
You want to go where like we're dating ourselves now a little bit. It's almost like
Oh,
Cheers
sorry.
for the well, for most will get it, some may not. But again, right? It's that community aspect of you want to go where everybody knows your name, right? There's just something to
Right.
be said for that. Where it's like, why do you still go to that old rinky-dinky bar? There's a new one over there that has all this great fun new stuff. It's like that's cool, but I'm gonna go over here because that's just where we all go. That's our spot. That's where we feel at home.
Absolutely.
And places that have the ability to create that, like again, those small things begin that, and next thing you know, now the kids play together, people know each other. Hey, Jen, how are you doing? Look, all that becomes part of that process now. If people are effectively smart at knowing that that's what continues people to stay, because the vanity
Yeah.
metrics and all these other things won't do it. But it makes perfect sense to your point here, to the attractive piece, because again, that's what most folks from the marketing side, people are doing. It's literally that same thing.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. So it's really important, and it also is something that then leads right into the next step, which is making it easy. Because we want to do the response, right? Response is the third law of the four laws of behavior change. We want to make it easy. So no barriers, right? We don't want any barriers getting in the way. So like if we hate all the people at our gym, or if our bike seat needs to be fixed, and so we don't feel like riding our bike because our bike seat is fixed, or if you keep your yoga mat in your car but you're going to practice yoga at home, those are all barriers. Those are things that are going to get in the way of you doing your new behavior. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to make it easy, like stupid easy,
Mm-hmm.
like like so easy, and this goes too, when we talk about making it obvious and you link it with another behavior, make it so obvious and easy that it is the absolute next thing that you're going to do no matter what, right?
Yes.
I'll give you an example. My cat's a social eater. So he likes to eat his breakfast while someone is sitting there with him.
Gotcha.
So his breakfast food bowl is next to my meditation cushion,
Mm.
so that I feed him
And right there you
and my
go.
meditation cushion is right there.
Right.
So I sit and meditate while my cat's eating,
That's easy.
because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just easy. It's like, yeah, of course I'm going to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or let's say on the way home in the car, you want to listen to podcasts, right? Like that is something you want to do. Well, pull up the podcast app, like before you leave your office. So when you get in your car, it's super easy. Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to remember to do it.
Yeah.
It just comes on automatically if you've got Bluetooth in your car. If you got an older car, you might have to, wait till you
Right.
upgrade. But like, like, yeah.
But that, well, but to, cause that point, right? Frank brought up a good point that I wanted to bring up because it kind of makes sense, right, to the initial question, right? The turtle and the hare race, right? Who won? Slow and steady does win the race, and
Yes.
arguably, again, we're using fitness as an example, it's, just to make it easier for most folks to understand. But I'll tell you, the easiest things that were in most of us, the best shape we were ever in, was in the military. And quite
Right.
frankly, it was also the easiest things we did. Literally, to a degree, you were doing some push ups, some sit ups, and you were running.
Yep.
Nothing too fancy, nothing too cute. What's that dirt mound, dirt patch? Get out there. We're doing some burpees. Like simplicity, easy. We're done. Off we go. It didn't matter where we were. We found a way. Yes, there were gyms. Yes, there was this. Yes, there was all that fancy schmancy stuff. But there are people, and you've seen them, especially working for how many years, in a gym environment. I'm sure some people came in hard and heavy and did amazing things and burned out after a year or two. And Bob, who comes in every day religiously, does this little 2 mile walk, does this little calisthenics and leaves, has been doing it for 10 years, and he's 67. And guess what? Strong as an ox. Whereas,
Yep.
this person over here with the whole journal and the food log, okay, you're making it very complicated, and it's great, but sustainability wise,
It's just not going to happen. Well, and to Brian's point, I was so glad Brian said, like, how could this possibly, do it? And that's exactly what it is. It's, yeah, you can go all out, but if you burn out and stop, then that was irrelevant.
yes,
That's not
yes,
helping you. In fact, that actually makes it worse. It makes it harder to start the next time, because now you think you can't do it. You've created a barrier for yourself, and sometimes there's shame there.
mm-hmm,
Like, oh, I can't do it, and I'm a bad person because I can't do it. I mean, that's what shame is, right?
yeah,
Or I'm just whatever, and so we do much better in creating habits in our life if we can have small successes,
yes,
because small successes breed on, that breeds bigger successes.
mm-hmm,
And certainly I'll say, um, my better than nothing goal right now is doing at least 5 minutes of yoga a day,
mm,
right? I have been damn consistent. I am so proud of myself. I've been super consistent, because bare minimum 5 minutes. And one day I did not have 5 minutes because I woke up late, but I did one down dog. So
yes,
I could still say I did yoga. And that has kept the momentum. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
okay, that day I didn't get all the millions of benefits that I would get if I had done the whole practice.
but in the long
But
run,
but I kept my habit going. I kept the momentum going. So now I'm getting closer to 20 minutes a day. And
Hmm.
it's only been like, let's see, my birthday was January 6th. I make birthday goals, not New Year's resolutions, but
Yes.
my birthday is January 6th, so it seems the same. Um, but I've been going, what, 2.5 months, and I'm already up to 20 minutes most days.
Nice.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Last week I had a little bit of I was doing 5 minutes because I was watching my nieces, and anyway, but I digress. So yeah, if you can make it easy, that's really important,
Mm.
super important.
Frank has a good one for us, especially the military will get it.
Yeah.
Rephrase, make it easy. This makes sense to us. Frank, the KISS statement. Keep it
Mm,
simple, soldier,
stupid.
sailor, stupid. We literally have, you can fill the blank in for the last S, but keep it simple. That literally is a moniker that has been part of everything we do in some shape, fashion, or form in the military and post. Keep it simple.
Yep. Absolutely. That's perfect. And then, last but not least, you need to make it satisfying. There needs to be some kind of reward. Now, eventually, the behavior itself becomes the reward. Okay. Like, eventually, working out, like you're going to do your Peloton every day or 5 days,
Hmm.
3 days a week, whatever, you're going to feel better just doing it.
Right.
Right. Which by the way, something that also kind of, I think this would be a make it easy thing. Something that will help me with exercise, for example, or eating healthy, is it, or doing yoga or meditating. If I remember that I'm going to feel better after, that kind of helps make it easier, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of a back step, but it's kind of connected to the reward piece. If you
Yes.
remember, I'm going to feel better after I do this. So
Hmm.
it's not about how much weight I can push, how many I don't know, beats, how many pedal strokes per minute you
Hmm.
have, or how many miles you go. It's more about how are you going to feel after. So paying attention to that reward. But initially, we need to create a reward.
Yes.
Now, if your goal is health and fitness, probably your reward shouldn't be a triple cheeseburger.
Uh
I'm just
oh.
saying.
Well, guys, it was
I'm
fun.
just
It was
saying.
fun hanging out with you guys today.
I'm just saying.
Hmm.
I mean, it can be, but you might be counteracting your whole
Correct.
intention for your thing, right?
Exactly.
Now, y'all are going to laugh at me. Oh, I don't have it with me. I was going to show you, but I don't have it in front of me. I have a monk manual, which is a type of planner to get yourself to do stuff, essentially.
Okay.
Anyway, and I have been working very hard to end my psychotherapy sessions on time. I
Okay.
was pretty good at it, and then COVID hit, and I've been going way over. So then I don't get my break between sessions. I don't get to go for a walk. I'm running late and I'm crabby and not prepared for my next session, right? Which probably isn't relatable to everybody, but just humor me.
Hmm.
And I was like, I cannot get myself to do this. And I was like, you know what? I need to reward the behavior.
Yes.
So I bought a bunch of oh, here's a new thing of the stickers. So I bought a bunch of glittery stickers,
Hmm.
and every time I end a session on time, in my calendar, I put a little glittery sticker. Now, it's ridiculous. I realize I'm 47 years old, but I'm going to tell you what, it turns out this girl will work for stickers.
Look,
I,
but you found something that worked. It's simple, and it's not. No, it makes
it
sense.
wasn't expensive. It doesn't interfere with any of my other goals, like
Hmm.
saving money or healthy eating. But
And I think so. What I like about this though is because I think everyone's done this in some shape, fashion, or form. So, for example, when I enlisted and went to the military, I had just turned 17. So,
yeah.
there's your
Ooh,
culture
you're
shock,
young.
right? Exactly. And I turned 18 on I graduated on my birthday, turning 18. So, needless to say, that was not a fun day on graduation, but that's another story. But one of the things that I love with a passion, right, has always been orange juice. I love orange
Mhm.
juice. Now, I don't make a point to drink it all the time, but I just love orange juice. And they had this orange juice dispenser thing at the chow hall, right? Because we would go to PT, then we'd go shower, and then we'd go to breakfast. And they had this, machine that had orange juice with pulp, and I used to love. It just felt like it was like natural stuff. And I will tell you, I hated every second of boot camp. It sucked. But every time we were out there, all I kept thinking to myself was shower, orange juice, shower, orange juice, shower, orange juice, shower, orange juice. And I will tell you, as a 17-year-old kid, hating the guts out of everything that was happening, it was literally
Uh-huh.
just orange juice, shower. Those were the two things I look forward to every single day. to get through the morning because the mornings suck. Because I didn't have a lot of the background that some of these other athletes had. Like we had marathoners and people do that stuff. I'm like, look, I'm not from New York City. We take subways and we don't do all that other stuff. So
Right.
running at
It's
that
if you're
level,
running, you're
doing all
you're going
that.
to be in trouble.
Exactly. So it was
No wonder
all
what you're
culture
running from.
shock. Exactly. So, but again, that was a mechanism just to get through the day. It wasn't intentional. Like this is how I will do this. It's just I found a way to make it happen.
Mhm.
That
Yeah, you
said,
knew.
exactly. But now, again, taking that, like we talked about the clothes being put out, we did it, but not necessarily for the right reason. The intention now of having those cues, right? Having that reward, right? Having that whole,
Hmm.
keeping it simple piece, I think is huge because, again, it's just saying, wait a second, I've kind of done this, but now if I'm intentionally doing this,
Yeah,
that's the difference.
totally. Totally. And with your, doing your Peloton,
Uh oh.
I
Uh
mean,
oh. Speaking of the, look, literally right on cue,
uh-oh.
Frank said, thank
Thank,
you for
thank you
making
for making me spend money.
Frank said I went ahead and signed up for the digital
Now you have
membership.
community. Look, now you
There it
have
is. Now
motivation. This
I
is
can
going to make
look up. I can
it's
look for
going to
Frank.
it's going to make it attractive for you both now.
Mm-hmm.
See, there you go. But now that you're gonna, I used to be a spin instructor, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Although I'm much more of a, I was a Johnny G spin teacher, so
Yeah.
anyway. But Peloton's okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But anyway, in terms of rewarding yourself after you ride your Peloton, I mean that could be your orange juice.
Correct.
That could be, I don't know, like I like to have a banana on my oatmeal, but if I didn't work out, that's maybe more food than I need to have. Not that I'm suggesting we get all crazy about what we eat,
Right.
but
Right.
maybe I only get the banana on my oatmeal if I worked out. I mean, I don't
Right.
know, but
But
it doesn't always have to be
it's a
food.
reward that means something to you. If it's a
Yeah,
sticker, the
yeah.
banana, the orange, whatever it may be,
You could
find
put
that
a
thing.
quarter in a jar
Yes.
towards new workout clothes,
Mm-hmm.
or a quarter in a jar towards going on vacation,
Yeah.
or whatever, a quarter in a jar towards a coffee treat. I mean, whatever motivates you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important to reward yourself, because that makes your behavior satisfying, and that is what makes you want to do it. Now,
Yes.
something that's interesting about that, and Clear shares this in his book Atomic Habits. Um, we actually are the anticipation of a reward actually motivates us more than the reward itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about kids on Christmas, or I'm assuming Hanukkah,
Yep.
or other, I don't know if
Birthdays, you name it.
Diwali,
When you're
birthdays,
waiting for that
whatever.
gift. Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was weird. Like, I always thought I was weird because I was like, I'm so excited for Christmas. I'm so excited. And then the day would get there and I'm like,
This
you know,
was like, yeah, alrighty.
and it wasn't that, like, I mean, my parents made holidays awesome, and
Mm-hmm.
birthdays, oh my gosh, it was like my princess day. It was fantastic. So it's not that it wasn't good enough. It's just that the anticipation
Correct.
is, and what it does, Clear explains this, it actually, we get more of a dopamine release. Remember, dopamine has to do with pleasure in the brain, but also with motivation. We get a dopamine release from the anticipation
Mm.
of getting the reward. So that's why rewarding your behavior is so important, to make sure you do it next time,
Yes.
because then you're excited for that orange juice, or that
Mm-hmm.
sticker, or that quarter in your savings jar towards your trip, right?
No, I like, and for the
S
record,
Yeah.
I will highlight here. Where is it? That on the bottom, you do make
Uh-huh.
a point to share
Mhm.
the glittery star in the
Oh,
blog.
I did.
So
I didn't
it is
remember if I
here.
wrote about that.
It's here.
Well, God bless America. So glad
Uh,
I did that.
yep.
I outed myself with my glittery stickers.
No,
It's funny.
but it's good for people to kind of see that because again, I really want folks to head over and read the blog at veteransnetwork.club because we're talking about it, but really sit down, go through this, let it seep in.
Yeah.
If you want to get the book, great. But if you don't, here you have the tangible points. There are
Yeah.
good takeaways.
Yeah, totally. Something about these stickers, right? Um, it's interesting because I shared with my clients that I'm working to end my sessions on time. And I always try and model, like, the things that I'm suggesting to them. I want to model for, like, that I'm doing it too, because I don't ever suggest people do stuff that I'm not doing for myself, or wouldn't do or haven't done. And so I've told them, like, I am working to end my sessions on time because I value your time, I value my time, and I'm much fresher if I give you an hour and then I have my little break, right? And so now, unknowingly, I created a community because now my clients know that I'm working for the sticker, and they're like, "Jen, you're getting close to not getting your sticker."
Like, hey,
And
hey, I value our time here, but let's not break the streak.
right, right. And not that I'm advocating that you take care of your therapist. Like, for sure, that's not at all what
Right.
I'm advocating here. But just to say that, like, when we make a community around whatever it is our goal is, that can create not just motivation to do it, but also accountability. So yeah, super helpful.
And again, I want to reference this here and kind of move back to you for the last point that you have there. But this is good information here. We're going to jump over to Jen's website because I want to make sure that folks also have that ability to see that over here at Pathways to Wellness. Let me see here. Let's snap this down. So if you go over to Pathways to Wellness LLC, we'll have the links as well. The blog also has links to Jen's site. The information she put together, she helped us to put a blog together. She's done a few, and we'll have more of them. But if you want to get the regular blogs that she has and newsletters, if you come to her page, you scroll all the way down, you'll see it says on the very bottom here to receive tips, practices, and more, coping with stress, anxiety to help you live and navigate. One of the things that I wanted to highlight here is it's not just we're talking about it, but you saw the blog, and I really wanted to walk through it because sometimes, like, oh, I read the blog, you're like, okay, whatever. No, it's a tactical blog. It's actually giving you action steps, not just word vomit to just quote somebody else. But no, here it's a way to do
No,
things. So that understanding and seeing that, if you want more of what Jen is doing on the newsletter or blogs or things that she may write, you have the ability to subscribe here on her website where you'll find that information. Right above it, you'll see the hyperlinks to social media. Jen has her YouTube rolling up. So I want to also make a point to say that
yay!
the link is on her page. It'll take you here. One of the things that we are doing in Clubhouse and on YouTube is her yoga breaks. Literally, it is 15 minutes of yoga wherever you're at, seated. It doesn't have to require too much, crazy movement. And she's literally walking you through the practice as you see here, wherever you're at, if you're seated or if you're, able to move, simple movements and so forth. So she's doing these as well. So if you want to be able to support that, if you want to be able to follow along to the things that she is doing, definitely head over to her YouTube page. You'll find it again on her website. You'll find the link to her website at veteransnetworks.club, which has her information here at the bottom. So you have the ability to find her website, find where she is at. But I really wanted to stress that all the things that she's doing, the practice, the different modalities of therapy, we've talked about it before and introduced it, but over at Pathways to Wellness LLC.com. You can sign up for her newsletter. You can follow and find her YouTube channel as well. Because the goal that we're going for now is race to the 100. Because once we get to the 100, she will be able to name the YouTube channel custom. Instead of having to say to find her, go to YouTube /UCJTV1ROI. You can't name the channel unless you have over 100. So we want to go ahead and get that out there and support her to make sure that folks have that. So just
I
a
know.
quick plug for Jen's page and what she's
Totally.
doing there and sharing.
And DP, I want to really thank you for that. I'm doing a lot of stuff for free because, right now are really for a lot of people. And one of the things I know as a therapist is my colleagues, all of us, even people I hardly know, we're all full.
Hmm.
Like, none of us have room for more clients. In fact, we're all beyond full. Like, we're all working crazy extra, just trying to see as many people as we can because we know how hard these times are, right?
Yes.
And so then what that means is there's a lot of people out there who need help who aren't getting it.
Yeah.
Right. And in no way is this a substitute for getting therapy or, making that appointment or
Mm-mm.
getting on a waiting list. Like, absolutely you need to do that. But my hope is that this can be some stuff to help even just a little bit as you are waiting.
Hmm.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, the yoga break is really basic. So just so you know, it's really gentle chair yoga. My dad, if he's listening right now, he's not going to be thrilled I'm going to say this, but
If you
but
speak into
he's
this
like,
mic, he won't listen. We have different mics for that.
okay, I'll speak into this
There
mic.
you go. He can hear that one.
My dad's 72 and maybe not the most physically fit person,
Hmm.
and he does yoga break.
Nice.
So it's not about twisting into a pretzel or anything like that. But really, my intention is to get out. Yeah, there you go,
Uh,
Garudasana, eagle. That was very nice.
I've been googling that for like 5 days and it's still messed up. So that's about as far we're gonna go. I'm kidding.
Someday I'll walk you through it if you ever want to.
We'll
But
get
anyway,
yes.
we'll get it if you want to. Although I have to tell you, something interesting. I've learned how to do a lot of crazy yoga shapes, and none of them have made me any more enlightened than the others. So I actually get more benefit out of the simple poses. So
Keep it
in
simple.
case any of you were wondering, yeah, keep it simple. So, but yeah, I hope you'll take advantage of some of those
Yes.
those things I've written. I'm not just writing it for my own fun, although I do like to write. I'm really trying to make it accessible because I want to see you like meet your goal. I want to see you be able to use your Peloton or have healthy snacks or go to bed at a decent time so you get 8 hours of sleep. You're probably all laughing. You're like, I'd
What
like
is sleep?
five, right. But whatever it
Hmm.
is. Yeah. So anyway, so thanks for having me, DP, and for
No,
for
and
sharing some of those opportunities.
no, definitely, and again, the theme, right? We used fitness, and I think walking through the blog really kind of began to answer this, but now remove any of the things that we've said and really changing your life through small steps, right? Using the blog and the examples of having those 4 steps of how to begin to rewire how we approach that. That can apply to anything. If it's work, if
Absolutely.
it's life, if it's relationship, the principles remain the same. It's a habit change, it's a mindset shift change. It's just easier to say and use fitness, but the same applies to work, the same applies to relationships, whatever it may be. Again, it's about taking the small steps because, again, the big punchline, like we said in the beginning, really, it's if you break it down, you will get further versus trying
Yep.
to go all in because realistically, what is it that's happening here? Is it truly that you're that committed to the mission or are you trying to overcompensate for something else? Because burnout is
Right.
something that happens. And then one of the things that, we've talked about before is you came into this with the wrong intention. You overdid it. You burned yourself out because the fear was that I'm not good enough to do this and this might not be a fruitful endeavor. And then you burn out and then you
Right.
can't continue. And then you either quit or are fired or whatever happens, and it perpetuates the anxiety and fear you had in the first place, which you brought to fruition because of the fact
Right.
that I can't do this, so I'm going to go overboard. When then
And
you're
you
going to burn
reinforce the
yourself.
message.
There you go. And that's the whole point of you're literally going to bring to fruition that thing you're fearing because you're coming at this recklessly versus breaking it down and having a plan of attack. No matter how
Yeah.
big the task may be or small the task may be.
Yeah.
We're going to shift into questions here in a little bit, but I wanted to kind of give it back
Absolutely.
to you. But I wanted to also, for those that were watching, to make sure that they are able to find you on your social media platforms. And
Yeah.
again, the big push here, it's sharing the information, not because we're saying, hey, like, comment, subscribe. No, if there's value here, the thing is, there's others that need it, and we
Yeah.
realize that people are stuck at home. The pandemic is still there, regardless of where you sit or what your beliefs may be. People are limited in access to things.
Yeah.
Practices are not as open as they used to be. Even if you are, there's limits on social gatherings, which means that a practice can only see so many people. The waiting room can only have so many. So there's a trickle effect of so many things that are happening that are affecting folks. And if we have the ability to do something like this and create a seated practice that's 15 minutes that you can watch and follow along at home with no equipment needed, that's going to benefit someone at least, or give you something for a community aspect, or being able to
Yeah.
use some of the things that Jen has put together. So when we say, follow it, support it, and share it, it's because there are others that are maybe hurting and need the information. But again, it doesn't
Yeah.
constitute in any shape, fashion, or form or replace therapy or sound medical advice, but it should supplement or give you something to work towards or talk about with your therapist and begin to, look into.
So I have to tell you, my notification came off my computer. My dad said, "Yes, I'm listening. Thanks for the shout out."
I think you've spoken to the wrong mic. Sorry, it was the other one, not this one.
Thanks for your service, Dad.
Oh, what's your dad's name? His first
Joe
name? Joe.
Muliger. Uh-huh.
Hey, Joe.
Joe Muliger.
I don't know what happened there. It was. Let me disappear. Oh, that is hilarious. I love that. We had that yesterday. One of
That's
our
great.
vets, Jerry, we were saying something. He's like, "I'm still here listening." I was like, "Oh, snap, Jerry's still here." Um, but no, but really, I think it's a good salient point because again, regardless of age, and regardless of where you're at, like Lisa said, like your dad said, the fact is, it's something. And guess what? Those
Yeah.
little small habits, hopefully by October time, if you've been doing this daily practice, where could you be? That's the
Yeah.
biggest takeaway.
It's amazing the change you can make with small steps. Yeah.
So I'll give it back to you,
Yeah.
Jen, for I guess to kind of summarize in some layman's way, changing your life through small steps from what we talked about, and then we'll transition to some Q&A. But to get at least the first part done, it makes
Yeah.
sense to me, but I want to give it back to you because I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I just, I guess I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this, and I think what's really important is for you to start small. I know the urge is to go big or go home, um, but at the same time, it's just, anyone who's tried to change a habit and failed, it's because you went too big. And so try, and then you feel crappy about it. So really, take a look at the blog so you can go through the steps of making it obvious, making it attractive, making it easy, make it satisfying, like break it down so you can really, really get yourself to do this new thing that you want to do. I think you'll find yourself a lot happier, and then you'll feel proud of yourself for the success, and that's going to build momentum. So then you're going to want to do other things that you have on your list, right? And that's the point. Yeah,
And
that's
I
the
think
point.
that's powerful because to me, I guess the biggest takeaway has been the intention that you're coming into this with, and by having a plan and being able to implement it and being fluid. Like one thing that I like you always say when you start your yoga practice with the goal, it's simply giving people permission. I forget how you
If you
say it,
if you like,
but if you
if you
like,
like.
exactly. And I love that because it's like you're calm and serene, but it's like you're gonna drop your head. And I'm not gonna try to imitate her voice because she's here. If she wasn't here, I'd try to do it, but I'm not gonna do it. But with the way you go about doing that, and it's something simple where it's like, hey, if you feel of it, drop your head to the left, and if you
Mhm.
don't, it's okay because maybe
Yeah,
I may not have full motion, and I don't want to feel like everybody's doing
right,
this and I can't do this. Or if you like,
right.
raise your hand. And I love it. And it's like if it's okay if you do, it's okay if you don't. What matters is you're here. And I think
Yeah,
taking that into yourself and giving yourself grace to where even if I messed up or didn't stay to the step or whatever, I'm still on the path. I'm still on the journey. It's just that I
yeah,
just took maybe a little detour here, but back on the bike, right? Back on the journey, and having
right.
that grace of Jen, it's all over. I was on a streak of 3 weeks at the gym and I didn't go for 2 days. It's all over now. I'm like, wait, stop. Okay, it's fine. Just come on back. It's okay.
Go
Um,
tomorrow.
exactly, and
Go
I really
tomorrow.
appreciate that because again, it really just makes the fact of changing your life through
Hmm.
small steps is possible, but it's all small
Yep,
steps because again, everything that they got us to this point happened over small steps. You put on 100
yep.
pounds, it didn't happen overnight. It was small
No.
steps, small meals, right? Big meals, but over
Yeah,
time, right? So everything,
yeah,
you look at it. If I had invested $5 every paycheck since I was 16, where would you be? If you had, all these things have compound, pressure, and it's the same
yep,
thing, right? So we look at the investment side in life, those small steps, right? You're not investing just $5 per paycheck, but make a habit to do this, right? You started with just sitting next to the cat. Now you're up to X amount of time. By October, how did you get to be able to do that for 60 minutes straight? I could never meditate for
yeah,
that. Started a
yeah.
minute.
Started with a minute. Started with a minute.
So I
So,
definitely appreciate you, and obviously,
yeah.
I'm waiting for what comes of this session because the last one, right, brought about this session. So I'm
Uh-huh.
curious to see
It'll be
what someone picks
interesting.
up, and they're like, "Hey, can you guys touch on this?" And it's like, wait a second, we went through these 4 steps, and it was when we said goobly gloop that that's what stood
Right,
out. Um,
right.
we have some questions that are coming up, so I'll kind of bring one
Great.
here. Lisa asked, I have a question for Jen. How can you apply this method to changing a mental habit, maybe to learn to
Ah.
respond differently to something that irritates you that someone else says?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, you want to make it obvious. Okay. And actually, let me back up. Let me back up. This is actually a time when you would reverse the steps because you're trying to break a habit. So you're trying to break a habit of getting irritated with what someone else says. So instead of making it obvious, you want to make it invisible. So you want to not notice what has been said. You want to make it invisible. Okay. So when this is said, you want to just let it pass over. Like say, yep, I noticed that. And this is, of course, assuming that you've already dealt through any emotions that you need to, or set any boundaries that you need to, and you've tried to work with the person on the problem. And for whatever reason, it's not going to happen, or that's just not like the relationship that you have with the person. Right. So assuming those things have been taken care of, um, if you're like, hey, this person just says this stuff and there's nothing I can do about it, then make it invisible. So if you've already worked through your feelings about it, like as soon as they say it, like let it pass through and be like, yeah, this isn't about me. I'm not even going to notice that, and just keep going. Right. The next thing you need to do is make it unattractive. And, one thing you can do is remember that when you think about that, how do you feel? When you think about what they say, you feel irritated. And do you like feeling irritated? My guess is probably not. And so remind yourself that if you let yourself think about that, you're going to feel crappy. And so then you're not going to go there, right? And then the next thing is to make it difficult. Make it difficult for your mind to go there. Now, initially, like the first thing coming to my mind, there may be better ideas, but this is just like off the top of my head. You might make it difficult by distracting yourself to think about something else. So whenever, and I mean, like, don't be rude. If you're in the middle of a conversation with someone, don't all of a sudden pick up your phone and be like a jerk, but like distract yourself. If you're in an interaction, like let's say I'm irritating DP right now, obviously he's not going to pick up his phone right. See, he's not going to pick up his phone, but he can I don't know, he can watch like Dead Man Walking. Wasn't that a show at one point? He can watch an episode of Dead Man Walking in his head while he's listening to me talk.
That's
Or
where
he can
the
sing.
glossy eye kicks over and it's like,
Right, exactly. Right. So I mean, there's ways to distract yourself that don't involve you having to be rude if you're still in the interaction. And then you want to make it unsatisfying to go there.
mm,
So do not reward yourself for thinking about it. You know what rewards you for thinking about it? Bitching about it to someone else or venting, and then them giving you all kinds of attention for it.
mm-hmm.
So, assuming you've already worked through the problem. Now, I'm not saying like if you've never addressed this or worked through your feelings, then this wouldn't be appropriate. But if this is a problem you've been having, then that's what I would suggest trying. Yeah.
I like that, Jen. 'Cause to me, the way I interpret it, I look at it as energy, you know,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
and the motivating thing. Like I heard something today which was amazing. One of the things I heard was bees don't waste their time telling flies that honey is better than shit. And I tell you, I stood there and I was like, this is priceless. Some will say lions don't worry about sheep and all these different things. But I think it goes back down to your same point, right, of that energy aspect where, you
Yeah.
know what, those bees are not minding these flies whatsoever. And it's just like, but you don't understand. And then it's just like, that's fine. I'm going to go get that honey. So you have fun over there on that pile of shit.
Right.
and
Right.
and and
Right.
and, and literally, you
Right.
can choose to be this one or that one.
Right.
But the energy
Yeah.
piece, I think, especially, I think what I have found, and I want to get your take on this, is for all the negativity that someone may have,
Mhm.
if they're not minding you, they lose no sleep over what's happening. So I'm
Right.
over here saying, you don't understand. Jen cut me off on the live, and this is bull crap. And Jen is unbeknownst to her, like, I'm gonna go meditate, feed the cat, and have a good time now. So bye, y'all. And the rest of
Yeah.
my day is completely tarnished with Jen cut me off. She was trying to do this on purpose. I knew she was doing. She knows I don't like when she does that, and blah 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 blah. And for the rest
Right.
of the day, Jen is completely unbothered by what's happened because I'm holding on to this energy that's depleting me of all the other things that I should be able to do
Yep.
because I gave her that power. Now, make it nefarious, right? Even if your intent was to do that thing, once you've done it, you're like, all right, screw you, Pete, DP, I'm out. And I'm the one
Yeah.
still holding that energy. It's like, wait a second. And you said this
Yeah.
before in one of the sessions that we talked about, where between your practices, and I'm actually, if you could talk about that, I think it's good too. You kind of get up, wash your hands, and you release that energy because it's almost like one of those things of I can choose to take this about myself, but the reality is you don't know who I am, person that did this or cut me off. So what's my practice? What am I doing? Am I releasing said
Mhm.
energy? What's that rinse cycle look like? Because when you shared, I thought that was really powerful, especially as a therapist. ingesting that negative energy that some of your patients may have that when they're dealing with, and you're sitting there absorbing
Yeah.
that. How do you let that go?
Right. And I choose to absorb that. But yeah, how do you let the go? And that's a great point, DP. I mean, another thing you could do is after you absorb negative energy from someone or someone says something irritating, you could do your own little like cleanse yourself of it, you know? But to your point, you know, you're talking about that whole idea of how's it go? I'm going to drink poison so you die.
Right. That doesn't make a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Well,
Right.
that's what
But
some
I
of us
mean,
are doing, sadly.
but that's what we're doing when we stay angry. And certainly, it's important to set boundaries when it's appropriate and whatever. But I think the question that was asked is more about like, what if we've done that and this is just still happening, and we just kind of have this thing we need to put up with, you know?
Hmm.
Um, I like the idea of saying, "Is this how I want to spend my energy?" Some of that links into, when we want to do behavior change, if we can think about who and how we want to be in the world,
Hmm.
and then we can link our behavior to what someone who's like that does. So, for example, I want to be a calm presence in the world.
Yes.
Okay, so that means I'm going to do yoga every day and I'm going to meditate because that's what people who have a calm presence for others in the world do. That's
Hmm.
just like what they do. So that's what I'm going to. That's what I want to be, or that's who I am. I mean, now I am. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but like that's who I
Yeah.
wanted. That's how I wanted to identify as. And so that was what drove the behavior because I had this identity of I'm going to be this person
Hmm.
who's a calm presence. The same can be true for what do people who are a calm presence do when someone says something irritating?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I usually, if it's something I can't set a boundary with, or it's not appropriate to, or it just whatever, a lot of times I'll try and like figure out like where that's coming from and have compassion.
Hmm.
Like, okay, so this person is struggling with that. That makes sense. They would do this to
Hmm.
understand that it's not vindictive or about me.
Hmm.
But at a minimum, I'm like, you know what? I can't spend my energy on this. This isn't someone that I know well enough to process this through with, or this is someone that I've tried processing through and it's not going to work. And
Yes.
so I'm just going to accept that this is how our interactions are going to go. And it just is, it's got nothing to do with me. So I need to move on and just be like, all right, this is just
Hmm.
something irritating that happens. Right.
And I think, and there's lessons along that line in a variety of spaces, right? When you start to look at, what does turning the other cheek mean, right? Or what does, the positions that many of the folks we've read, right? You could take a religious stance, you could look at psychology, what does it mean,
Mm-hmm.
Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
crucifying me. Like, and again, it's not making, it's again, there's something happening here of how are you perceiving what's happening? The world
Yeah.
sees right now, and again, literal now, whatever the belief may be, it's there is inflicted harm happening to this individual, and their view of this is, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
where are you operating psychologically? What
Yeah.
frequency are you vibrating in where you're above what's happening right now? Because there are other things at play. That negativity you're bringing me, it has nothing to do with the fact that I just happen to not hold the door open for you. There's something else
Yeah.
happening that's fueling this, and this happens to be the point where you're letting that frustration out. It's because you got fired. It's
Absolutely.
because your wife left you. It's because your dad died. It's because your dog got hurt. Whatever it may, the things that are happening in life, the mispromotion, all that converged on Starbucks on a Tuesday afternoon when you happen to just cut someone off walking into the store, and now it's a full on thing of like, this has
Unbelievable.
nothing to do with us because this is definitely not worth a mocha latte cappuccino.
Exactly. Exactly. No, that's really a good point. I think that's absolutely exactly it. Have I heard of Egoscue?
Yeah,
I have not.
Eagles Q.
Egoscue. Egoscue.
Mhm.
I
Something.
haven't. I haven't. That's something I'll have to look up. Egoscue. Huh. Let me write that down.
It's a postural
Egoscue.
therapy designed to eliminate chronic pain without drugs or surgery. Founded by Peter
Ooh.
Egoscue in '78. It's a method. So I guess it's the Egoscue method. I'm sure we're messing it up.
Cool.
But the method focuses on a series of gentle stretches and exercises to correct misalignments in the
Ah.
musculoskeletal system of the body. I just did a quick Google search because I didn't know what it was either.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I was like, oh, should I
But there's
grab
a
my phone and
parallel there, though.
Google? Yeah.
But if you could
Interesting.
touch on that,
Yeah.
because essentially what
Mhm.
it's saying, it's using alignment and body movement to help with chronic pain. So what you do
Mhm.
obviously is the yoga aspect for trauma and things like that. can you touch a little bit on that? It may not be what Eagle Q is doing, but even on your practice, when you're looking at trauma as trauma sensitive trauma yoga and so forth, can you talk a little bit about what that does for moving the body through things to help with
Yeah.
trauma or physical pains and things like that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we know is that trauma gets stuck in the body. So when we are going through a traumatic experience, that experience is not encoded in verbal memory. There's not a narrative, like there's not a story. You may think you have a story, but what you have is a series of images that make you make up a story.
Mm,
That's why a lot of times trauma survivors, their story is really inconsistent about what happened to them. So they get accused of being liars a lot or whatever. But the reality is it's just you don't have actual narrative
hmm.
um, for your traumatic experiences because it's in the body, right?
Okay.
Um, oh, well, that's cool. Frank did. Okay, that's awesome. Anyway, so
Hmm.
because trauma is stuck in the body, movement-based practices, somatic practices can actually help release some of that trauma, especially when they're done in the context of a safe, nurturing relationship, which is what we do with the trauma center, trauma sensitive yoga that I'm certified in. We do a shared authentic experience where there's choice and invitation. Um, and when you do that, people have the ability to start to move with the breath, which can start to loosen up some of that trauma and start to reconnect with the body. Because one of the other things we do is say, like, let's say you've tilted your head to one side, you might notice some sensation in your neck,
Hmm.
right? And so you're starting to reconnect with your physical body. And usually the thing with trauma survivors is there's a disconnect between the physical body and the mind because the body is living in the past trauma and you don't want to think about it. So there's just like this
Hmm.
disconnect, right? So the movement based practices, especially if it's done with breath, especially if it's done in a safe environment. I don't know about Ego's Q. If that, I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it's necessarily for trauma per se. I could be wrong though. I'm not familiar with it, but it's that same kind of idea. Is the movement with the breath can help heal um, by
Hmm.
releasing that stuff from the body. It's pretty
Okay.
fascinating.
Yeah. Lisa's
Yeah.
highlighted one of the recommended books we've talked about many
Oh
times.
yeah.
The
Uh-huh.
Body Keeps the Score, Healing
Yeah.
Trauma. So there's definitely something to note that's in
Yeah.
the comment section as well for those that may want to look into that. But that's amazing. And
Right.
yeah, Frank did share that he started it last year and it's helped him stand up straight. So it's greatly helped him there.
Yeah.
But it
That's
goes
great.
back down to the movement piece, which I think it's awesome to
Yeah.
have that. Interesting.
Well, and I've seen that a lot with yoga practices. Just as I'm an alignment based yoga teacher, when I'm not teaching trauma center, trauma sensitive yoga, I teach an alignment based practice. My training for that was in Anusara. And what we find is that when we align the spine,
Mm-hmm.
we align our bones, it
Hmm.
actually like over and over and over again with intention, they
Yeah.
actually start to like line up
Hmm.
like kind of how they're meant. So I used to love going to the chiropractor because he's like, man, your spine is like, like exactly how it's supposed to be. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, I do yoga a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, well, there you go.
It's funny you
Yeah.
say that. So I literally about
Uh
two
huh.
days ago, the jury's still out, so I can't get into detail. But you may have
Mm-hmm.
seen those commercials on social media about those chairs, that all 33, and it has like the cradle where you sit and it kind of moves and keeps your posture and all
Yeah.
that. Well, I actually got one of those.
Oh,
It is the
cool.
weirdest thing. Like I can't slouch. It's literally like it moves the hips and it keep like if I try to slouch, it kind of like pushes me back. So I've literally have sat in the
Nice.
chair for like 2 days, about as upright as I can probably sit. Not on purpose because the way it's settled, it has like my
Right.
hip joints kind of in a way where it keeps the curve in the spine. And I'll be honest, I could sit here and I get up and usually it's like, oh crap, it's been a long day, and especially not working from home and being in front of a computer, or whatever. I feel great.
Yeah.
Again, it's been 2 days, so I'm not gonna sit here and be like, guys, this is the best thing ever, all 33. No, but there's something to be said for the posture piece because usually, I'll
Mm-hmm.
sit there in the chair and then I move. You move and you try to find a new place. Like, no, I literally am fine right where I'm seated. But even over the few days of keeping that curve in the spine and just kind of helping, the posture has helped. But when I'm done, I get up, I feel better. because of that. So there's something to be said again, just for the things in the physical affecting the psychological and vice versa. Of like,
Oh, for
man, I'm
sure.
not mentally bogged down with physical pain and psychological pain and all the other stuff that goes there. But I am glad to Frank for sharing that, because again, on his side, the confidence being able to start exercising again is amazing. Um,
Awesome. I swear exercise is the silver bullet for just about everything. I know that might not be true for everyone. I know not everyone can exercise but I'm sure everyone can do something to exercise. It just might be look different for different people.
mhm.
But when we talk about mental health, I'll tell you, the people who are doing some kind of movement, especially if there's movement with breath, I just find
You mean
they,
something like I don't know, Cedar
my
Practice
yoga
Yoga over on
break,
YouTube?
Tuesdays at noon Central.
I'm just saying, there's a few days in there you
Shameless
can kind of catch
plug.
up.
No, but
Same.
and all kidding aside, I appreciate you
Hmm.
sharing
Yeah,
that because
definitely.
I really do want to help people. I mean, this is all free stuff I'm doing just
Yeah,
to make yoga more accessible, give people an opportunity to have a
and breaking the
break.
stigma, because again, that's the common thing. I have to hit
Yeah.
warrior pose, downward dog, do all the stuff, like the way my back is set up
Yes.
and my knees are set up. I can't do this stuff. And
Yeah.
again, the fact that you're sitting there for 15 minutes and I can be in a chair and I can just follow along, that
Hmm.
has been amazing for folks.
Yeah, it's golden. And I'll tell you, one of the things that we're seeing in the yoga industry itself. I mean, not that there's not people who still aren't Instagramming themselves in these crazy shapes and stuff. But a lot of us teachers who've been teaching for, 10 years or more, we're really switching, getting
Hmm.
back to the basics and being like, what is the point in doing all this, crazy, twist? And not that it can't be fun. Like, certainly it can be fun and interesting. But, but I mean, the average person can't do that in a safe way.
Correct.
And so then what are we doing? And for me, I practice yoga for the mental health benefits of it. I don't need to do Ekapada Galavasana, which is squirrel pose. You literally have one leg crossed over the other, and then your shins are on your forearms and your hands are holding you up,
If you're
and
not
your
doing
other
squirrel
leg
pose, you're not doing it right.
sticks
That's
out the
just,
back. Right,
what do you mean you're not
right.
doing
But it's
squirrel
like,
pose?
that's right. Or flying squirrel, I think is
Right.
the English.
Now, does it
But
count if you
anyway,
look like a flying dead squirrel at the end? That might be another
because you're laying
pose.
on your back.
Literally, like a dead cockroach. uh,
Absolutely.
But I
Absolutely.
wanted
That's
to
fun.
put out there for those in the comment sections, if there's any alibis you may have here live, you definitely put it there. We'll put like a 2 minute warning as we begin to wrap up here. But if you're watching this on a replay, especially on YouTube, definitely make a point to comment your questions you have. Now that Jen is on there,
Yeah.
anything that pops up, you may see her come and comment from her page, so that basically the conversation continues. So now that we're connected there, you can see her
Cool.
reply to the comments in the comment section on YouTube. That way, that kind of drives more traffic that way. So if
That's
you have
fun.
other
I'll have to
questions,
figure that out. Yeah.
yeah, yes. Once you're logged in on your side, you'll look at the feed that we did here, and then you'll be able to go into the comment section as yourself,
Nice.
and you can comment. They can click on your name and head over to your page. So it's kind of like Facebook, right? I saw your post
Dang,
or comment.
world is opening up before me.
I'm telling you. Um, so
Who
I
knew I
was.
had to get on YouTube for it to open up?
It's
But
the small little things. Frank is over. Lisa has commented and said that I'd look like a splattered squirrel
fair. That's
if she
fair.
tried to do that.
That's
Frank,
fair.
from July 16th to March 7, I'm going to start the Peloton thing this week with DDP Yoga
Ooh,
also as well. I am set. Sent the image to you guys. So he's shared some stuff on social media as well there for folks to look at.
that's
Dates of the
awesome.
image.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? That's a really good point, Frank. I know we're kind of moving past the conversation we had a little bit, but one of the ways that you can make your behavior attractive is announce that you're going to do it and have an accountability partner, because it will be so unattractive to not do it that you will do it.
That part.
So,
Hey, look, how, and that goes
I
back to
mean,
the hacking piece.
yeah.
Find a way.
I mean, yeah. I mean, DP has announced to everyone who's watching that he's going to be doing his Peloton every day.
Yep.
I've announced that I'm ending my sessions on time and doing at least
Hmm.
5 to 20 minutes of yoga every day. So
Agreed.
we've said
Exactly.
very publicly that this is what we're doing.
Hmm.
I don't know that either of us said that with the intention, but I'll tell you what, it's sure going to create some motivation for
Well, yeah.
me.
It's just, so how's that coming along? Oh, but no. But and again, I think it's changing the narrative because the fear is okay. Again, at least we're trying to change the narrative. We're trying to move into stuff. We have the social accountability,
Absolutely.
but it's not the ones that people can assume like they used to, right? It's not like I'm gonna crush your stuff. Like, no, 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 no. We're coming from a place here
No
of encouraging and making it a point to support and
support.
say, hey, stay on the path. Because the fact is, there'll be days when you can't stay on the path or you might fall off the path, but at least someone knows you're trying. And I
Yeah,
am of the mindset that if I know you're trying, I want to support that. But if I
yeah,
don't know what if I
absolutely.
don't know what I don't know, I can't be a support system. Like if I would have known, I would have not, brought that triple, whatever, or said, or whatever it may be, I would have supported it versus, hinder or not, been there for you. So
Yeah, you wouldn't have brought wine to the person who's trying to not drink's party.
exactly. And it's just simple things
Yeah,
like that where that goes a
yeah.
long way and it doesn't take away from someone to share that. So, again, if you head over, and I'll make it easy for folks, if you go to the homepage, literally you'll see us at veteransnetwork.club. Head on over to the blogs and the articles section. You will see the last one up here on 320, Hack Your Habits. Make change happen one behavior at a time, that Jen wrote for us. Again, a lot of actionable information here available to review, like we talked through here. You have the ability to find more information that we have here as well, to include Jen's information here. You'll see her website here at the bottom, so you can click it. When you do so, it'll take you to her site, and you'll be able to find amazing things that she is doing. Scroll all the way down. You will see here the ability to link into her newsletter, and if you click the little YouTube, it'll take you to her YouTube. So literally, you can navigate your way, get some good information that we wanted to make sure that folks have the ability to share. Those are in the comment section as well as we'll add them to the description. But on my side of the house, I guess I'll hand it to you for your parting thoughts, Jen. But I really my takeaway in all this is really changing your life through small steps, and putting the things that we saw that for many of us are not groundbreaking truths. They're very simple steps, fundamental frameworks, but the intention of doing these things, of having the cue, of making it attractive, of having the reward system, like all these different things that we talked about that are in the blog, I think they're not groundbreakingly new for people, but it's
Yeah.
just now intentionally making a point to use that as a way to try because it may be what helps you. And like Jen said, she took the teachings and kind of put her own spin on it. Take that and put your own spin on it. It doesn't have to be verbatim how Jen said it or the book says it. The point is do something.
Yeah.
Over to you,
Yeah.
Jen, for your thoughts.
Yeah. I would just encourage you to really reflect on who and how you want to be in the world. Who and how do you want to be in the world? And then what behaviors do those kinds of people do? And then start from there and start doing one step at a time. That's what I'd say.
Mm, I love that. Um, so we have here. So Frank is sharing a basically he is taking some points home uh, with our conversation here, which
All
again,
right.
it's the little things that count. But even in his journey, being able to put that together, I think goes a long way.
Great.
So
I'm happy for you, Frank.
heck yeah. Actually, Frank is he's on a roll. So he actually just sent us this from the changes even on his alignment. So
Nice.
this
That's
is
awesome. Check it out.
this is Frank right here, specific, and you see the difference in the alignment of
Wow.
where he's at. So it's a whole different person
That's
from left to right.
fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. Exercise is going to feel a lot better in your body now.
Yeah, because
It would have hurt. It would
yeah,
have hurt you before.
that
You could
part.
have hurt yourself. Yeah.
Frank is over on your site now,
Good for you.
checking your information as well. So that's there. Is there a video for sale? Let's see. Is there a video for sale on for yoga? Is there
No, just I
no?
well, if you can do my free yoga break. If you want to do trauma sensitive yoga, I do a weekly class on Saturdays. I do them in month series. April's only going to have 3 weeks. I still have to put April up. But right now we're still doing the March series. We meet Saturdays, 10:30 Central Standard Time. It's $10 a week, but I put it together for a whole month at a time. So you buy the whole month,
Gotcha.
to encourage you to go. Um, and then you can either attend live at 10:30 Central, or you can do the recording, and you have access to the recording for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something that if you go to, you should be able to go to up to services on my website, I believe. If
Mm-hmm.
you go to services, you should see TCTSY. And I think I've got a link there. Yeah, it's got information about the class, but then if you go towards the top, there should be a way for you, like go to the top of the page, there should be a way for you to go over to the site that actually has the
Oh, okay,
TCTSY.
I got you.
Because it's actually on a different platform.
Okay, yeah, I'll find the hyperlink here in a second. But
Yeah.
I like the fact that you have the information Q&As on what this is, what it isn't, what are some of the do's and don'ts and so forth. So,
Yeah.
but again,
Yeah.
this is on the site here as well for folks, and the services provided, TCTSY here available as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's totally something you can do. Like I said, I offer it weekly, but then I just have you purchase a whole month at a time, just so I know that I have people attending, but also it encourages you to actually keep up with it.
Awesome.
So yeah. So if you cannot find it through that website, you can jot it down. It's Pathways University MN for Minnesota.com. Pathways University mn.com /TCTSY. And that should bring you to the page where there's the first step to register for that is actually to complete a brief intake assessment, because it is a trauma, an adjunctive trauma treatment. So we need to make sure that it's clinically appropriate for whatever is going on in your life. So if you're interested in that. Now, I will tell you that's not seated. It's a full standing practice. But again, we're not doing anything super crazy. Just some of the more basic poses. So yeah, thanks, Lisa. That's the link. Yeah. If Lisa will put it in the show notes, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll add that as well. So we have the ability to update this. So we'll update even on the blog, where you can find the conversation at the very bottom. We'll make sure we update it, add even that link as well. So thank you, Manel, for
Thank
asking
you.
that, because we can easily add that to the bottom of the blog as well, and it'll be easier for folks to
For
just
sure.
go right to the blog, go to the bottom, because right now we have linked your email and your website, but we can also add, how to get to those other sites and things and services that you have. So that's a great question,
Yeah.
for folks to
Yeah.
know and
Great
be able to,
question.
look into. Um,
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks, Frank.
So, but with that being said and done, Jen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone
Yeah.
hanging out here with us. What we'll start doing with like these live ones, right? We kind of, we indexed, we're at about the sub 60-minute mark, and then we kind of hung out for 20, 30 minutes with Q&A. So if we repurpose it, we'll have some of the Q&As, we can chop it up and kind of put them in standalone short clips and things like that, because there were some very good questions. But we encourage you to head over to our YouTube channel. If you go to veteransnetwork.club, you will see the link there. Go to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see this as well. And in the comment section, we will continue the conversation.
Cool.
Jen, I
Thanks, Steve.
appreciate you as always for being here. To Dad,
Always a
we
pleasure.
used the wrong microphone. I'm sorry about that.
He, by the way, did text me and say, "Tell Dave hi. I was in the Air Force." So my dad says hi at VP.
Yes, we gotta square him away and get him, get him good to go. So we're gonna square your dad away and send him an Air Force
That's
shirt.
right.
He's
Oh,
part
there you go.
Amy's crew, so we're gonna square him away and get him some
All right.
swag. So pops,
All right.
swag him your way.
You're on
Um,
it.
we will be back soon. Thank you all for holding to spending some time with us. Again, Jen, thank you for holding some space. The intention today was to be able to give folks some value, be able to share information, and hopefully you got this. If this was of value to you, please share it with someone who may also be able to benefit from this conversation. The name of the game is to build together, not to hold it all. So we want to make sure that others have the ability to grow, benefit, and again, I'll say it again, the blog has the ability to give you tactical things. It's not just word vomit. It is, here are some tips, here's some action steps, walk away with something to happen. Today you saw in the comment section people taking some action and doing things. One of the things that we're doing here, that I'm passionate about, is moving from just awareness to action. Everyone talks about awareness, but then what happens? Well, there's a situation going on. We're aware. Now what? Okay, let's do stuff. Let's do yoga. Let's have conversations. Let's change our lives. Let's do the things that require action. So mobilizing and doing things, I think it's amazing. We have some parting comments here from Lisa. Thanks, DP and Jen, for a terrific show. Thanks to our viewers for joining us on this episode of Sound Off. Frank,
Yeah.
DP, you're putting together some great content. It's only possible with great people like Jen.
Oh,
So
and your
there's that.
team.
Exactly. So
Oh,
I appreciate you all for being here with us. We will be back. If you have, I'm going to ask it, so we're going to be ready. If you have suggestions or questions on another topic that we can discuss on a future episode with therapist Jen, we had a yoga one last time, and that brought about this one. So we will be standing by for what the
yeah.
questions
What
may
do you
come,
got?
and we'll come back with another episode of Sound Off, building off of what stood out for folks that came out of this session. So thank you all so much, Jen. As usual, we'll talk again, and
Thanks,
more to
DP.
follow.
All right. Take care, everyone.